Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cult of Belial. I'm here with Anton and Mr. Sander, and I think we got like three topics that we're going to talk about today. And there should be a natural transition between these topics. Anton's going to talk a little bit about Black Sun, the Black Flame, uh, and that's going to transition into what I have to share. And Sanders going to talk about his experience with the new necromantic ritual and some rituals that we are offering. All right, so Anton, if you go ahead and start us off, floor is yours.
Okay, so I wanted to speak about the Black Flame. What is the Black Flame? The Black Flame is the source of all our magical power and the source of consciousness. Now, does everyone have a Black Flame? I'm not sure of, but I know all occultists and magicians have a Black Flame. Now, what can you use the Black Flame for? What I was told by Lucifer earlier in the week is that it can be used to transmute certain things. You can take in curses, energetic attacks, and bring them into your black flame and consume them into your black flame to make it burn even brighter and harsher, therefore increasing your magical power. Now, as Paolo and has done before, he meditates on his black flame before rituals, which is something I actually started doing myself and found that it helps quite a bit with magical operations. It brings forth this power within you that helps fuel your magical operations. There is a link between the black flame and the black sun. Now, what I've been told is without the black sun, the cliffothic black sun, which I speak of, not many things would be able to exist in this world, not many people would be alive. This is because there is a link between the black sun and the black flame. As it burns, the black flame burns. It burns the black flame into our soul, allowing consciousness and magical power to develop, and singularity of consciousness and independent thinking, adversarial thinking, so to speak. So without the black sun, there would be no black flame. There would be no power within your magic. It is a source of power that you can draw through. I've done certain things where because I have a portal in my chest, I've shot black soul energies out to open portals within this earth. And the energy of the black sun is extremely similar to the black flame but times 10. It's like the black flame but on steroids, basically. So that's sort of what I wanted to open with there.
Rock and roll, dude. Yeah, so I recently, I think it was last week or so, I channeled a sigil for the Black Sun. This is part of my continued path working with Lucifuge. He says I should be working on this so that when I go to carry out like um, seeking different sources of income for my temple, which is what this pact is all about, there's going to be a magnetic effect, right? And what I have learned from Lucifuge and from Azazel is the Black Sun. You know, I don't really 100% understand it just because there's a broad spectrum of powers that come with the Black Sun, right? But the way it was explained to me by Lucifuge was it's not necessarily negative energy, right? He told me to think about it as an overdose of solar power, right? Like the black core of the sun, right? So it's so brightly burning and black because it's blinding, right? And it is the source of the black flame. Um, and this magnetic effect, I didn't understand that this is what was happening when I was doing these meditations or when I was empowering myself. But as I continue to do this early on in my practice, I would have people drawn to me, right? Certain people would come into my life, certain people interested in magic specifically. It's a very interesting effect. I talked to somebody about it a while back when it started happening, and they said that this might happen. I was like, it's already happening, you know? Now, I'm going to transition into like how I use this sigil, right? How exactly do I go about empowering myself? One thing that I'm really talented at is energy work, right? So you can drop any kind of energy that you wish to empower yourself with. Um, but if you have a sigil, or if you have words granted from a demon or a deity or an angel, even, you can use that to pull that energy out into your space. And then from there, depending on what it is you're empowering, right, you then want to a lot of energy work is controlled with the breath, with your hands, and with visualization, right? When this energy is drawn up to myself, so when I did this black solar empowerment, I saw the energy rising from the sigil, and from there, I put my hands over it and breathe it in through my hands, and I let that go all the way through my body. And then I heard a spirit tell me to keep going, because I was definitely feeling the effects when this happened. And as I kept going, something really surprising happened. I felt it overwhelm my entire body. It was very, um, I got very hot, but also some effects that I noticed was it didn't just fuel my magical operations, right? The next day at my job, I was performing way better than I had in the last few previous days. So that is an effect that you can also notice from black solar energies and black flame energies. Um, you'll sort of be a go-getter in everything that you go out to do. But if you're not doing magic, if you're not using this newfound power, it won't go as far as like some other practitioners will take it if you're not using it to fuel magical operations. Um, some other things about black flame specifically, right? So yeah, I do during some of the more powerful rituals that I need to do. I do use the circle of black flames meditation. It's in the group. It's in the featured section for anybody who wants to go use it. Um, I think I need to channel a specific rite to really anchor this black solar energy to me because it is very similar. And if I could use that to fuel my operations, I think it has some really great effects for my practice, and then be shared as an offering to you people. Um, as far as that goes, I'm forgetting something, but if I remember, I'll just come back to myself. So, with that being said, Sandra, if you want to share what it is that you have discovered, go ahead and take the floor.
Coming out guns blazing. The stage is yours, as we say. Um, an interesting part that I've been going through lately would be necromancy. Now, I haven't covered this topic much in the past because we've been following, of course, the sequences and patterns that have been given to us as they come from the spirits, because you don't really get to choose the patterns, they are just pretty much given to you, as everyone should understand. They come in turns and they come in patterns which are to be followed, and sequences which shall be given to you after you've been initiated and you start your path officially. Now, my personal empowerment experience and knowledge is all to be given credit to the Queen of the Underworld, Hecate. Also, should be named Hecate. Best to reference her with her ancient name from the ancient times. It works with channeling as well, way better that name. Um, I can say, even if you're a beginner, it is the kindest and beginner friendliest spirit you will find, in my personal opinion, within the entire infernal realm. I'm talking about this particular spirit is as kind and honest as the angelic host would be. So you wouldn't have much to worry about, apart from disrespect, of course, which you should worry about with any spirit, because as we know, angels will not be kind to you if you commit blasphemy against them either. But Hecate is an amazing spirit, okay? And One of the basic powers which one should invest upon, which is heavily neglected. People tend to be a little bit too much addicted and hooked upon curses and lost magic when it comes to starting off into the path. Focus on the divination first. Look upon becoming the living oracle, as the spirits will call it, into this world. This is what will get you way more. It will push you forth way more in any aspect you could imagine within this path. And Hecate is one of the best that can do that with her lunar and necromantic energies. Abaddon would be another one who's amazing, but I'm not as heavily connected to him. But we are starting to work closely as of now, and hopefully it will escalate, of course, more to more levels. But my experience with him is relatively recent for the last year. Um, when it comes to a necromancy, now I've recently been given major rituals from the goddess of the underworld in regards to, first of all, infusing one's entire being with the lunar energies of the moon, which are heavily needed for divination and are needed in any way, shape, or form to create anyone's divinatory and psychic senses. And this will help with a ton of things. It will help with intuition, it will help with channeling, it will help with visions, astral hearing. Even if you have a soul handicap, which I personally do, I'm astrally deaf. I'm literally like a deaf person. But ever since this particular channel ritual, everything has been much easier. I can channel and hear way easier. I can literally, like, instead of getting the energetic answers that I used to get, I can actually hear to a greater extent than I did. So I cannot really be considered deaf anymore. You know, I've transcended. Whereas if you were kind of divinatory or heavily divinatory before, this will kick you off to way higher levels. So imagine if somebody with a soul handicap, if we can call it that, can progress to that stage, the goddess's ritual can get you to seventh heaven, if we may call it that way. So the second part of that would be Abaddon being involved, of course, which we worked in cooperation, me and brother Anton over here, to bring it in. And Abaddon would come in, and whereas Hecate is infusing your being with the lunar energies of which you need, Abaddon will come in and he will give you the key, which will unlock the chakras to allow all the energy of, let's call it, as if it's kind of like silver water within the visions, if you see it. Lunar energy is aquatic, but it's not water energy, it's lunar. So it's silver energy, but at the same time, it flows in watery ways. So it's going to flood you in from the crown chakra. Of course, everything enters from the crown inwards. I'm sorry, I have a little cold. And it's going to come down into your being to infuse all these chakras with the silver lunar water. Okay. And then these chakras at this time are infused only around the periphery of them. Okay, so on the outer parts. So when Abaddon comes in through this ritual, he unlocks with the key. He literally unlocks the doors for the chakras to just go, and everything that has been stored around these chakras will flood with that energy. So they are both playing a counterpart of each other. One infuses you, basically washes you with the energy, with the water, which is needed, but the other one allows the water to go in. How best example I can prescribe it is, instead of washing yourself with the water which goes around the chakras, drink the water which goes within you. And that's what this does. It will go within and without for us within, so without. Okay. And it will infuse you in both aspects in order to become the oracle, which is a very heavily divinatory ritual. Another great thing which you can do with necromancy, you may be given powers upon the souls of the very, very severely damned. Who are the very severely damned? We are talking about the souls of serial killers, the souls of these people who have neglected and thrown away their very light. We can all be extremely dark. We can all be a little bit more on the light side. If you see people's true forms, their true souls, it will look like a cloud of different colors of energy. The majority of people will have this little tiny round circle of white light, as white as the very wall that you see behind me, like this. Different colors according to everybody's energy and whoever they are, due to creation of Big Daddy God, will have different colors and attributes around them. And that's how a true form looks like, of a cloud made of these energies. What happens through these particular serial killers is they will bring so much darkness within them to the point that even the little white light of core will be diminished. And what is left after that, if it is diminished? Who have you become when you throw the last part of your light in the rubbish? Where will you end up? And what shall be your fate? Unfortunately, I have to say, like any product that was created by mortals for a good cause to be used, once you put it down to extreme tear, it shall be brought to either disposal or recycling. And in the infernal world, we do not dispose of anything that is not no longer deemed fit. We tend to recycling. So all of these damn souls will be brought into the underworld, or in different parts to be tormented, but they tend to be a little bit more profane. These serial killers are a way greater use, so they shall be put into specific exalted courts within the underworld. And the Dark Witches, which are still alive, of course, may wield them, they may employ them, and they may send them forth to do one's will. And serve they shall, under the correct circumstances, under the correct words of power, under the correct sigils. Be aware, as they can be tricky. You will have to torment them to get the sigils, of course. Nothing in the infernal world gives up anything easily. It is a heavily militarized system. If you wish to obtain a familiar, you have to beat your familiar to obedience. For the mortals, this would be seen as a sign of aggression, a sign of abuse of somehow, or whatever they wish to call it nowadays. Down there, it is nothing but asserting rightful dominance. Once you beat the familiar shall accept you as its leader, for you are better. You deserve to lead the familiar. Nothing will follow you in the worlds below if you do not, if you are not, worthy of it. If you are not better, it will simply attack you, because you don't deserve to be followed by the particular force, for you are not the force above it yourself. So once you beat the familiar will accept you on its own. Some familiars must be beaten down to obedience as such, the majority of them at least. Others will just correlate with your soul attributes and willingly come without any fight. And others will simply deny and run away. If the Emperor deems fit, they shall be given to you, like it or not. If not, they shall be allowed to run, and you are to seek a different familiar. There is plenty to choose, by the way. There is no reason to be sour over denial when it comes to the Infernal Kingdom. The numbers are endless. So, what you would have to do when it comes to the serial killers would be to, if as an advanced Witcher, of course, build your own exalted court with the help of the other spirits, of course. bring these spirits, or let's call them serial killers, into that specific exalted court. Build a cell for them, which they are to be stored. If you have familiars, your familiars are to manage as the guards to keep them there. They are to be chained and obtained with words of power and sigils. They are to be tormented, so they give you their sigils. Be aware of false sigils, as they will lie constantly to escape torment. Now, one thing, Brother Anton here, which is amazing in these things done, I entered first with my own double the cell of one of these serial killers, and I started systematically beating on him to give me the sigil, but he didn't wish to give it to me. So I bet on him again and again and again for over a week to come. He gave me a sigil, which I drew on paper. That sigil was petty. And we saw it and we all laughed. And I was like, look at what he gave me. So we realized quickly it's fake. He gave a fake sigil to escape the torment. So, good brother Anton here. What does he do? He goes in, whips out fucking Michael's sword, and makes him give it back. Michael's sword is a sacred weapon. It will make a plethora of spirits deliver what it is to be delivered. It works greatly. Another service of ours, of course, which we can provide, but we would have to first of all see if the Archangel would be willing to grant it. So we cannot inny-winny grant it to anyone, just so you know. So all are able to apply, but not all shall be granted. I'm sorry. Soul attributes are very, very important to receive this sword. You must have a protector aspect within your soul attributes implanted within you, and you must have a servitude to your co-human beings to be able to grant this sword. So anyone inclined to military or police service, at least in the rightful service of what it should be and not what it is, what it is become of from the human governments. Okay, we're talking about rightful protectors here, not what goes on out on the streets or what have you. We're talking about the good, valid people. Once you have these attributes, you can be granted this sword. If you do not have them, of course, Archangel will deny you. Third part, which is great of necromancy, which will also be an available service. There are particular sigils which you may use, particular words of power, which you would have to be required to go around to 3 at least graveyards, bury these sigils, and receive the words of power. Then go into the woods and use the same sigils from the graveyard whilst you are in the woods, and you shall summon Hecate with the particular ritual given. And what this will do is it will act as a triangle, okay, of dark dots, so to say, putting each dot into place. It will draw the power through these graveyards. The graveyards will act as a portal, and all the dead from the underworld, or at least legions of them, shall rise from all 3 points to meet at the practitioner and empower them for necromancy severely. This is literally the most severe necromantic ritual I have ever channeled so far. It will come out, it will hit you like a bomb. It takes some physical effort, of course, with running around to your local cemeteries, graveyards, you call it whatever you have in your local countries. You only need 3 of these. And then you will have to go to the forest. Find a little forest. You may have to travel. It's no big deal. Must be performed at night, of course. No open fire needed. And once you do this, your power will be at the next level. People like I keep saying this. People are too focused nowadays with the modern age crap that they see on the internet. Too much of let's get the lust going. Too much of let's get the curse going. Don't focus on these things solidly. That's not going to make you go anywhere in your spiritual journey. Or let us burn books and commit blasphemy. Nobody cares about that, honestly. Okay? Please don't go into these extents of becoming nothing but that. Because you're nothing but a fool. No demon cares if you burn a book. No God will care if you burn a book. In the end of the day, it's just a book written by men. And all these beings know way better than the book and the man, the very man who wrote any of these books. Nobody cares. Not up there or down there. If you are a fool who walks around seeking to curse and lust cast and burn books and thinking that you got it going on. Or if you're one of these oh, light and love people who think they got it going on. Both are equally hopeless. You're both mistaken and delusional. You're both committing mistakes because you're not within the balance or knowledge of what it is and what it isn't. Don't go around doing any of these things. One practice will get you pretty much screwed up in life. The other one will equally get you pretty much screwed up in life. If you're too dark, you will get lost. If you're too light, you'll get blinded and overused by anyone around you. So you're both pretty screwed. Sorry, I'm giving you some harsh truth here, which I never really do, because I don't really care about these people, but there's too many of them coming around. At least to me personally, I don't know about the other brothers. But I get too many. Stop with this mentality. It is false. It is used for nothing but likes and views to get some clicks on the internet. True spirituality is by being aware of what is and what isn't, and most of all, being aware of your own self. Learn your own soul first before you go into alchemy. Your very solid course of action entering alchemy must be to become self-aware first. If you do not know yourself, how are you going to stand before the spirits and say, hi, here I am, I'm ready to be transformed? What's going to happen? They will deny you. They will tell you to fuck off because they're more straightforward. Okay? And they'll call you many different things too. If you're lucky, you'll be told to go do some work and come back. And by 99% of cases, you will be blindly ignored, meaning no invocation will work, no spellcasting will work, nothing is going to happen. You're just going to think this is just a hoax. And feel yourself lucky if that happens, because you're basically one of these people who shouldn't be here at all. So both up there and down there are just completely glory you, because you're probably a very young soul and you're just pretty much screwing around. That's not how these things work. Learn yourself first. Then you go to learn, by my personal advice, light workings, okay? So you can have some nicely incorporeal aura to be able to withstand dark energies, to have some kind of protection. Then you go to the dark work. And then you're fine if you are a measured, constructed person. Now, all of these running around burning Bibles, all of these running around love and light, namaste, and excuse me, but nah, not gonna happen. So that is all from my side. Harsh truth. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit too Darthic, Billy. I'll let you call me whatever. I've been very kind before, but because of everything that I'm getting lately, I have to say the truth as it is. Do not be a part of the indoctrinated weak generation, please. Oops. There you go. Things are already making a sound around here. I didn't touch anything. Do not be a part of that. Be powerful. Be knowledgeable. Use common logic and common sense, and you shall be powerful. Rise and conquer.
Rock and roll, man. Anton, do you have anything to add before we close this out?
I've got a few things to add. Going back to the familiar thing. Some familiars do enjoy being harmed. I've heard this from other practitioners. I've never really encountered this myself, but some familiars will actually not follow your orders unless you sort of harm them a bit. They're a little bit, how do I say this, into it. It's a little kink of theirs. Just like how every different person enjoys certain things. Some familiars, some demons will actually enjoy that, and they'll respect
They're
you
kind of
more for
lawless.
that. Yes, exactly. But with my personal experience, my familiars, I have had to do that with only one, which was a test of mine, the Legion from Samael, which I had to beat the hundreds of them individually with Michael's sword. But in regards to familiars, what you'll get in terms of familiar and given as a familiar is what you're at in terms of power level, or even they will be below your power level. They will never give you a familiar that is above you. It'll always be something that matches you, something that is either matching you or below you. That's how this usually works, because they give you something that's above you, more powerful than you. You will not be able to control it. You will not be able to command it. So that's at least what I've found with familiars. They will always reflect you. They will have attributes of you. If you're a very vampiric person, you may have vampiric familiars. If you have a huge lycanthropic aspect, you'll have lycanthropic familiars. If you're very good at gossip, finding things out, keeping an eye on enemies, you may receive a spy familiar to do it for you. Things like that. Now, in terms of what Sandra was saying before, by the way, I noticed you were channeling, excellent channeling, with the whole we thing. With the oracle ritual that I
But I gotta lie, I don't even remember saying we.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. With the Abaddon ritual, this goes back a long time with me. They usually do this. They'll do something years ago to you, then bring it up years later and be like, now we want you to do it as a ritual. When I was first starting off in my, I think this was the second year of occult practice, I had a big out-of-body experience when I was trying to sleep. I was in my room watching myself sleep. Then it cut to the door. The doorknob was turning, and it was trying to open. And there was a voice that I had before, which I now know is Abaddon, saying, "You should have kept the door locked." And the door burst open like a SWAT team kicked it in, and there's these waves of this black energy. It wasn't black water, but it was just a tsunami of black energy burst in that made the already black room look like nothing. And it surrounded and swarmed me and entered my chakras, and I felt like I was being tased. It felt like I was actually being tased. And I woke up like, not being able to breathe. And that wasn't empowerment. That was something he did to my chakras to increase my divination abilities, my channeling abilities, my psychic and astral senses, right? Now, when I'm trying to channel this ritual from Abaddon, he brings this up, how this is going to be part of this ritual. What we do with this ritual is we bring forth these energies of the abyss. I like to call them the tsunami of the abyss. It's just a massive amount of abyssal energy that flows like a tsunami. And with energy work, we wrap it around the astral double of the target. It goes around and goes within the chakras and infuses and imbues the chakras, empowering them, making them much more darker, of course, but not completely black plywood. And this will greatly increase divination, channeling, psychic senses, and astral senses. Now, in terms of the key part, Sandra put it perfectly. This unlocks things within you. Abaddon is known to hold the keys to the abyss and the keys to many things. These keys will unlock your potential, your psychic and divinatory gifts that lie deeply dormant within you through selective chakras that we unlock and click open, that it infuses them with the energies of these keys. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say about the actual abyssal oracle empowerment ritual that we have acquired. Now, in terms of the Black Sun, I completely forgot to mention who made the Black Sun. The Black Sun's not always around. There was a multitude of deities who made the Black Sun. Lucifer, Maimon, I forgot his name, but he's a Persian Persian deity that represents the devil. I forgot his name. Ahriman. Thank you. Ahriman was one of them who actually created and forged the Black Sun. So that's pretty much what I wanted to finish upon on this podcast.
That's awesome stuff, guys. Awesome stuff. I really don't have anything to add. I forgot something while I was speaking, and I tried to remember it. I guess that part that I'm trying to remembering isn't supposed to be shared right now. So, that being said, thanks everybody for joining us. Sander, if you want to use your catchphrase to take us out of here.
You knew I was gonna do it. You all know me. You all know me. As always, as I said, guys, we're out here. We're ready to help anyone who needs it. Our services are soon very available in new. The website is coming very quickly. We've been working very, very hard upon it. It will be released very soon. Of course, we're all getting different people from different sides. There is no must, of course, to work with all at the same time. You may do heavy working that requires all of us. You may do a separate working that requires only one of us. That depends on the kind of requests that you might have. But these are things that will be clarified further down the line. For now, all I can say is stay true to yourselves. Continue upon your path, whatever that may be, light or dark, doesn't matter. As long as you're on the right track and you're not delusional or lost for the factors that we spoke before, you're on a good track. We're here to guide, we're here to help. Even if you're lost, to be honest, okay, we can put you on the right track if you're willing to listen and if you're willing to follow instructions given, because you can never help those who do not wish to be helped, not by force. Everything is by free will in the end of the day. So I hope you may take some knowledge from everything that has been said here from me and the other brothers here, because we all see each other as brothers, okay? And hopefully this will bring you to your own personal enlightenment and your own ascension so you can become self-aware and a better person within this sea of chaos that we all live in these modern days, okay? Love you all. Wishing you the best in your personal lives and your paths as well. And never forget to rise and conquer.